Before we get into the episode, I am thrilled to announce that the EntreMD Business School is open for enrollment. The EntreMD Business School is the only school of its kind for physicians who want to build 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses. Over the last 2 years, we have had hundreds of doctors go through the school with unbelievable results. Some of them run brands, some of them run private practices, some of them are coaches, some have other kinds of service-based businesses or product-based businesses. And we've had people come in and cross the 6-figure milestone, cross the 7-figure milestone, cross the multiple 7-figure milestone. You will be in a place where you'll get the coaching, the community, the accountability that you need to thrive as an entrepreneur, especially in the times that we're in. So maybe you've been following me for a while. Maybe you've been getting so much out of the EntreMD podcast and you've been wondering, how can I work with Dr. Una and the community more? Well, this is your chance. Come join us in the EntreMD Business School. It is application only. So go to entremd.com/business to turn in your application. I cannot tell you how many doctors have made statements like this. I recovered my investment in the first week. I recovered my investment in my bank account in the first 90 days. This is the best investment I've made in myself ever. I want you to have that kind of story, not just a story of building a great business that serves a lot and earns a lot, but having a business that gives you the freedom to live life on your terms. So don't wait any longer. entremd.com/business. And now for the episode. Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD podcast, where it's all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una. Well, hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the EntreMD podcast. As always, super pumped to be in your ears. And today we're going to do something that is a lot of fun. I do this myself, with my clients as well. And I figured this would be a good thing to do, which is really taking our thoughts and putting them on trial, like paying attention to what we're thinking about and deciding if we want to continue thinking them, if we want to change them. Some of the thoughts become things that we build our lives and our businesses around, which may or may not be true. And if we don't have an awareness of what they are, sometimes we just let them run our lives, and we're not going to do that anymore. Okay. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this year I've made a commitment to really pay attention to what my mind is doing. If you've followed my work, if you follow me on social media, you know that I say the undisciplined mind is a fool or it's an idiot, depending on the day. And so the more we can control that, the more we can master that, the more we can make it a tool that works for us rather than a weapon that works against us, right? And so there is this thought that keeps coming up. People say this a lot, and this could show up when we have to grow our businesses, or, we have to start marketing our businesses, or we need to bring a team on board, or any of those things. And this lovely thought comes up, right? I don't have the time. I don't have time. I don't have time to do this. I have too many things to do. I have to do all the things. I don't have time. And I've started questioning that everywhere I hear that. And I want to kind of take you on that journey. And so you can start doing this for yourself. So you can start calling yourself out, because that's really what this is. It's like a pure, full on come to Jesus moment with yourself. And so let's take a look at it. Okay. So if I'm building a business and there are things that I need to do and I'm not doing them because I say I don't have time, is that actually true? Okay. Is that actually true? And so for me, you may have heard me say this before. When I had a little itty bitty team of 8 people or so, I was like, oh, I don't have time. I'm so busy. I don't have time to do anything. I'm so stressed out, and all of these kind of things. And I start studying people. I'm like, hang on. So one of the people I studied is Mark Cuban, and he is the owner of Dallas Mavericks. At the time I did this study, he was worth $3 billion. He's worth about 4.5 now, but he was worth $3 billion at the time. He had 150 companies. And I'm like, if somebody who has 150 companies, which is more than 10 times the number of employees I have, right? He has 10 times more companies than I had employees. If he had, and almost like 20 times really, if he has 150 companies and he has all these things he needs to do, and he's sitting at a basketball game, he's just calm watching the game, I'm like, there's something wrong, right? The problem is not that I don't have time. The problem is maybe I don't know how to master my time. I don't know how to leverage team and all these things. Like, it's not a time problem. So if you think about it, the person who owns 150 companies has 24 hours a day. The president of the United States has 24 hours a day. The person who has a business that's 50 times mine has 24 hours a day. The person who has 5 times more children than I have has 24 hours a day. It's not the hours. It's the person who has the hours, right? The problem is not the hours. The problem is who has the hours. And it's not really a problem. We're working on it, but that's the variable here, not the number of hours. So we all have time, period. Like the only person who can say I don't have time is someone who's dead, right? Like they literally have run out of time, but we're here. We have time. We have the gift of time, right? So is that statement accurate? No, it's not. It's not accurate. And I think one of the best things we can do is go like, come to that understanding. Like it's never true. So when I start thinking that there's something else, right? So we start asking questions. And so you might say, well, it's not that I don't have time. I don't have time for this thing. I don't have time for my business. Okay. Okay. Now, if you don't have time for your business, that means you need to shut it down. If you don't have time for your business, maybe you don't have to shut it down. Maybe it just needs to stay on cruise control because you don't have time to take it to the next level. And so the question is, do I want to shut down my business or do I want to be on cruise control? And if the answer is no, of course not. This is my year to grow and we're going to have hypergrowth and all of those things. Then we have to give up that statement of, I don't have time for this. We can no longer say that. We need to ask better questions. That's what we need to do. Rather than make statements, we have to ask great questions. So do I want to shut it down or do I not want to grow? And this is the deal. We have choices. And you can decide, I don't have time for this. I don't want to do this. That's great. That's a great equation. They match, right? I don't have time. I don't want to do this. I'm shutting it down. Perfect. I don't want to grow. Like I don't have time and I don't want to grow. So it's fine. I'm not growing, right? Like whatever happens, I'll just take it. Okay. But if you say I want to grow, but I don't have the time, you see, there's a disconnect there. So something needs to change. Something needs to work. So how do we solve that? We ask great questions. Okay. So I think I don't have time, but I do want to grow. So do I want to allocate time for the business? Do I want to create time for the business? Do I want to open up time for the business? And if you're saying I want to grow and all of that stuff, then the answer to that is yes. So the question is, how? How am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? Do you see, this is very different from, oh, I don't have time. And then you hide and then you don't do the things you're supposed to do or you need to do. And then you're like, oh, then my business didn't work. No, we're going down this path. We're asking great questions. Okay, so do I want to create time so I can create the growth? And the answer is yes. Okay, how can I do that? Well, one of the things I can do is I can reprioritize my business, right? So I remember reading The Miracle Equation, which is a really good book by Hal Elrod. It's one of the books we have read as a school for the Untrained Business School. We've actually done it twice. It's a very good book. And so in that book, he was talking about, he always said that his family was his priority, but he gave them the end of his day, if that. Right? Because in the morning he was too busy doing his thing and then he did work and he did that. And when he got back, he was tired and he spent whatever little time he had with them and he was gone. And then he had this moment when he came to the realization that if they're not prioritized, they are not my priority. The way I spend my time demonstrates my priority. Now, if that's true, then we really want to do a time map, not how we intend to spend our time, but how we do spend our time. So how much time do I spend taking care of me? How much do I spend working on my business? How much time do I spend? And when I say working, I mean like working, not playing around during business time, right? How much time do I spend on social media? How much time do and when I say social media, I mean socially, not for your business. And when I say not for your business, I don't mean all the time you spend playing around on it, but the time you actually do business activities on social media. So how much time do I spend with the social part of social media, socializing, watching funny cat videos, doing all the things, scrolling through TikTok, all of that? How much time do I spend on Netflix, Hulu? How much time do I spend just doing nothing, and not productive nothing, because there's a productive nothing where you've created white space so you can think and all of that kind of stuff. But, you just randomly talk to whoever wants to talk to you, get on the phone, just talk about stuff that doesn't matter. And it's not part of your self-care. You're just doing that. Now, when you look at how you spent your time, not how you plan to spend your time, it will show you your priorities. And your priority may be Netflix, and your priority may be playing certain games, and based on your time, not based on what you say your priority is. And so in that case, do you want to reprioritize your business? Do you want to take some Netflix time and give that to your business? Do you want to take some social media time and give that to your business? Do you want to say, for this season of my life, maybe I'm going to spend less time in this relationship, right? And when I say less, I don't mean you're giving up the relationship, but because I need to devote this to here, it's a 3-month block or whatever. But the question is, are you going to reprioritize your business? Are you going to prioritize it, right? And you're going to create blocks of time for it. So that's one way that you can do that. And to be very clear, where you spend your time, that is your priority. It doesn't matter what your intention is, right? It's not about intention, it's about what actually happens. If you find that, oh my goodness, I do about 2 to 3 hours of Netflix every day, you just found 2 to 3 hours that you can give to your business every day. I mean, you can keep the weekends, but Monday through Friday, right? And you can do your 2 to 3 hours over the weekend. So reprioritize. And this is, when you ask these questions, one of the worst things you can do is lie to yourself. Like, you want to be brutally honest, right? Like, with yourself. Okay. So we can find time where it's been wasted, right? And take that. The other thing we can do, like, how can I create more time, right? Another way we can create more time is we can acquire the time of others, AKA delegation, right? Because think about it. If I have 3 people on my team and they work 8-hour days, that means that I get an extra 24 hours every day. That's literally what happens, right? And so I can delegate. So what are the things I can take off my plate? What are the things I can take off my plate and give to somebody else to create time? Now, the trick here is sometimes we get it off our plate and we fill it with more Netflix and more things that don't matter, right? But I know, okay, I'm handing these tasks that typically take me, 6 hours a week. I'm handing it over to this team member, which means I have 6 hours for the most important task that only I can do in the business, right? Like, thinking in that kind of way. Okay, so now I have this time, things I can delegate, things I can eliminate. So I've created more bandwidth for myself, right? So I've created more time to work on my business to get the goals that I want to get. All right. Then we can also say, well, how else? How else can I create more time? And one of the ways we can create more time is by focusing on the 20%. So in the EntreMD Business School, I talk about this a lot. Focusing on the 20%. What does that mean? It is not everything in your business that brings the greatest results. There's this 20%. Okay. Is this 20%? And I'm probably going to do a podcast episode where I'm going to talk just about the 20%. So you're trying to hit some revenue goals. Revenue comes from putting yourself out there so people who don't know you can know you and making offers. That's it. Now, there are other things that you'll do, yes, but those are all part of the 80%. But showing up in as many places so people find you, letting them know what you do, inviting them to work with you, those 3 things, that's 20%, 20%, 20%. And so if you don't have all the time in the world, but you have an hour, you just take those 3 things, boom, put it in the hour, and that hour will be more profitable than the 5 hours some other people have, because they're going to take that time and they're going to they're going to be tweaking their website, and they're going to be tweaking their messaging that they haven't tested in the marketplace at all. And they're going to be, thinking about the team member they need to hire, but they haven't put the ad out there. And they're going to be, right? Like, so someone can do that for 5 hours, but you in 1 hour, you just like, boom, you just put all the things, the critical things that need to be there. You put that in there, you got it done, boom, done. Right? And so the more you focus on the 20%, the more time you have, the more profitable, productive your time would be. And you start living this life where you get so much more done by doing so much less. Right? So that's now, if you look at that, when the thought comes, oh, I don't have time. You're like, not true. I figured you out, right? So look at all that came out from just examining one thought, like I don't have time. And think about how many times that thought cripples us, right? There are things we know to do. We just like, I don't have time. So I'm going to take the day off. I just need to rest because I'm so overwhelmed because I don't have time to do. Like, it's just the gift that keeps giving in a negative way, right? And so we put it on trial and we realize, no, we actually have time. Like, I should probably stop saying I don't have time because that's what people who are not alive anymore say, right? And if this is a priority for me, then even if it seems like I don't have the time, I can create the time, right? And how can I create the time? And you go down that loop and you create the time and you make the time for what is valuable to you, right? So I just wanted to kind of put this out so you get a feel for how to start handling all these thoughts that cripple you. Because every time you're trying to do something in your business, you're frustrated, you're overwhelmed, you feel like you can't take it anymore, you want to quit. And quitting could include quiet quitting where nobody knows you've quit, but you know it. And people like me who have been watching you are like, yeah, she's not in the game. He's not in the game anymore, right? Every time you find yourself there, you need to stop and say, okay, what triggered that? What am I thinking about that triggered that? And you put that on trial. It's not true. You have everything it takes to become a wildly successful physician entrepreneur. You have everything it takes to build a company, a brand that will create time and financial freedom for you if you choose to, right? And so when these thoughts come, we need to now stop them from stopping us. And you may be thinking, oh, I can't wait till when my business will cross 2 million so I can stop having these challenges. I have been in all kinds of rooms with all kinds of entrepreneurs. They still have to do this work. Okay. In the EntreMD Business School, we have a tier called Scale. And the physicians in there are physicians who are building multi-million dollar businesses, who are on a hypergrowth path, who are building scalable, sellable businesses, creating business assets, right? Not just a company that's a job, but an asset. And this still comes up, right? So even at that level where they're getting those kind of results, it's still coming up. So this is something to gain mastery of. It's not a beginner thing. It's just a thing. Okay. And I want you to start practicing this. I want you to start seeing what you're thinking, especially when something stops you. You're like, especially, that you're like, wait, what's triggering that? What's triggering that? And then you take care of it, right? You analyze it, then you make decisions, and then you go take action. Okay. But we want to make sure that we are making our minds tools we use to create success and not weapons that work against us. Okay. So the undisciplined mind is a fool, and don't let it stop you in your business anymore. Okay. All right. So I am so glad that you listened to this. So now you have time. You have all the time you need to do what you need to do for your business. And this is going to be amazing. All right. So go create some massive wins with this. You have some big ahas. I will, you come tell me in the DMs, send me a message on Facebook or Instagram and say, oh my goodness, Dr. Una, like you will not believe what happened. And we will not believe what I now do because I listened to this episode. Okay. All right. Share this with another doctor in your life, and I'll see you on the next episode of the EntreMD podcast. Hey, if you love listening to the EntreMD podcast, I want to invite you to join EntreMD On Demand. It is my signature subscription program that gives you access to a library of business courses designed to help you do one thing as a physician entrepreneur, and that is to thrive. Just head out to entremd.com/on demand, and I'd love to have you join us. See you on the inside.